Well, Professor Kerry Brown is director of the Lau China Institute at King's College London. Professor Brown, thank you very much indeed for joining us. And during these talks, the UK Foreign Secretary telling his China counterpart Wang Yi that there should be no iron curtain between the two countries. Do you think that's realistic?
Yeah, I think that we've got a lot of areas where we largely agree. On climate change, on AI, China was invited to observe the G7 meeting on AI a year ago, even under the previous Conservative government. So, there's always been a lot of common areas. With a new government, maybe there's some new possibilities. This Labour government, their priority is really to do something about the British economy. Productivity remains low. Growth has been very, very poorly in recent years. And that's really a problem why the second biggest economy in the world, which China isn't a bigger kind of player in Britain. It's 2% of our stock of investment. I think it's our fourth or fifth largest trading partner. That's gone up in recent years. But still, there's probably other spaces that we could cooperate. So it makes complete sense that Lammy's first visit as Foreign Secretary, one of his first was to Europe, then to America, and now to China, because they're our priorities, those three places.
Yeah, and Professor Brown, this is only the second visit of a top British diplomat to China in 6 years. And the relationship between China and the UK, though important, as you mentioned, has been bumpy. So is this visit likely to be able to reset the relationship?
I think we've had a long relationship, going back centuries. And, there's been bumpy periods, there's been good periods. The last 10 years has been a roller coaster. It's gone from golden age to lots of arguments over Hong Kong and human rights and different things. I think not reset, that sounds a bit dramatic, but I think the tone of the relationship should be improved. David Lammy is a lawyer. He's very kind of able to express himself. He's a good communicator. He was in Beijing. Today he made some statement which seemed to me very balanced. It was a recognition of the importance of preserving, a kind of decent relationship, decent dialogue with China. I think these are all very, very sensible things at the moment when there's so much uncertainty in the world. And Britain, to be honest, has lots of problems, lots of issues in other geopolitical partners, the Russia-Ukraine war, the Middle East that you've just covered. These are big, big problems. I think a stable relationship with China is helpful.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of these figures and how important China is to the UK and vice versa. But do you think perhaps China, in terms of trade, is more important to the UK than the other way round?
Oh, yeah. China now has an economy 4 or 5 times bigger than Britain. Up till 2005, in fact, Britain had a bigger economy. Then China overtook Britain, and now it's multiple times bigger. It's clear that there's an imbalance in our economic size. But I don't think that China is of Britain, not at all. I think Britain is an important power for China. It's a member of the UNP5. It's an important player in Europe. It's also close to the United States, and the United States obviously matters a lot to China. The question really for Lammy is, what do we get from this relationship that delivers on his government's particularly urgent priorities? And that is economic growth, doing something about productivity in Britain, and improving our infrastructure. These are all things that they have to deliver on if they stand a good chance of being re-elected in 5 years' time, which is presumably what they want.
Yeah, absolutely. Both governments desperately needing that economic growth. Well, that's all that we have time for. Professor Kerry Brown, thank you very much for your expertise. Thank you.